Lucy is here celebrating our Freedom Day. Good morning, everybody.
Morning. Okay, it said we went live, but I'm not live yet. Oh, there we are. Okay. We're live. We're live. I'm on the phone. Um,
Jody's still in Texas,
God, don't remind me.
not at home yet.
I know it's hot down here. It's really I had my gongs and gong stands in my the bed of my truck for a week like usual, waiting for an event, and almost could not construct the stands because everything was so swollen from the heat. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to lose the metal if I don't get it out of here. So it's been interesting.
Do we have any Gilmore Girl fans out there? I've got my new Luke's mug from Gilmore Girls. Luke's
I
mug.
have my traveling mug.
I don't know if you can tell by my hand here. This mug is like twice the size. It's 24 ounces. It's twice the size of my biggest mug.
This is good. You don't have to have the side mug, that you pour into.
It's huge.
So we were talking about kitties, of course, before we got on, and I have been to the two places that I stay, and the place I worked yesterday was a private home. Every single one of these people have black cats. They have
Uh,
multiples, but they all have black cats, and they're just yeah. And this whatever this mythology is of don't get a black cat. I'm like they're really cool. They're always the cool personality.
every black cat I've ever had has always been very friendly, and
Mhm, mhm.
I love black cats. We're
Yeah.
talking about getting Lucy some kittens here soon.
Yes, I thought I heard wrong. She said, she needs kitties, and I'm going, huh? Say what?
Good morning, Adrian. Good
She's
morning, Jen.
here.
In here under Jen Bias has a new name, Alchemy for the Soul.
Oh, I like that. I have to go click on that if I'm not following.
She's
Alchemy of
getting
the-
ready to start a YouTube channel.
Yes, 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 yes. They're fun.
Cat.
It gets me out of bed and it gets coffee in me when I've worked for 8 hours with a private event, and I'm just like, oh God, I'm busy.
Hey, Sharon. Nice to know we got a moderator with us. I
We
did
have a
put it
few.
on subscribers only, so that helps
Yes, I had to find out
with
what
the
that was.
trolls.
Marie Henson, you are down here in Texas with me. This place is bloody hot.
He was just talking about that. Jody said, "I can't wait to get out of here. It's so hot."
My God. Well, I mean, it's hot in Arkansas, and where I'm going to be living, I can get in my truck, drive to the crystalline lake, and hop in 5 minutes. It's like okay, that's a benefit here. And there's trees. There's way more trees. So, how are all of you on this American Independence Day thing weekend, whatever? I saw my fireworks out the front yard last night.
Ours will probably be more tonight. I had a little bit yesterday, firecrackers and things going off, but take care of your pets. If you have outdoor pets, bring them in maybe for the night.
Yeah, I have obtained stray dogs after July 4th before because they bolted. I actually had a Rottweiler show up when I was out in the hill country, and he was huge, friendly, And when we finally found his owner's like, "You've had him in the house?" Well, yeah, of course. He's with the other dogs. He'd never been house trained. He'd never been in a house before, and he fit right in. He was like, "Yeah, this is cushy." But he had broken his chain, and jumped a fence on July 4th because it scared him so much. So yeah, it's a big deal.
Free at last.
Free at last. Yeah, he was having fun with us for a while. Galveston is having a drone light show. Oh, wow. Are they live streaming it? I'll watch that. I'll get to watch that. And you guys you're having a show after this. We got all kinds of,
Yeah,
Adrian's having one, I think. There's all kinds of fun stuff for my day off.
Lori and I like to go live on holidays if we can. Like
Mhm.
Christmas Day. Lori from the Way of Positive Change and I usually go live, and so we'll be live at 11:30 Central Time on Lori's channel, 12:30 Eastern Time. doing some political reads.
Hmm.
But we're talking about freedom today, which, as Jody and I were talking about before we started, with everything going on in the Supreme Court and everything, we all feel that constriction. We all feel that lack of freedom. And it was interesting, Jody. I looked up. I was like, I just want to see what is the definition, the formal definition of freedom.
Thank you. I was going to do that and didn't.
It's the state of not being imprisoned or enslaved, the power or right to act, speak, or think as one wants, without hindrance or restraint, the quality or state of being free, the absence of constraint. So,
Yeah, I know. How far do we go, right?
we just breathe in some
Here,
white light,
I'm going to just bonk a bowl.
release all negative energy, and release those
Yeah.
constraints. It's like, wow, it all starts with us. And I was thinking about surrender versus responsibility. Like,
Hmm.
when do we have the responsibility, because we all have free will. When do we have the responsibility for ourselves, our choices? I loved how the state of not being imprisoned, the state begins in the mind, the state of
Hmm.
mind.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, and I think it's, starts with each of us individually, to be free in our own mind, or to be peaceful in our own mind. We're all creators or in our own mind. It starts there to bring it into the collective.
Yes, it does. And from a sound healing perspective, and this has been something I've been taught actually by the guides I work with from day one, is whether it's our health, our mission statement, our purpose, or whatever we are going for in life, we're taught to think it starts with, taking action. And it actually starts with the vibrational frequency, with a note on a bowl or a gong or whatever instrument you choose, where you set that cosmic resonance with the quantum field, the Akashic records, and be freedom there, and then take action. And right now, we need that. We need that awareness right now to be the freedom, be the peace. And I had something come in my mailbox today. Um, at the Body Mind Spirit email, healers forum thingy dingy, and they just had they had a question, which I'm going to read. I'm going to read this. It was like, oh, this is perfect timing as I'm getting in the shower, like, "Ooh, look at that." And the question is, are you free? So just take a breath there and ask yourself, are you free? Are you exercising your freedom today and every day? I take this moment to thank all of those who have the courage to stand for their freedoms. Exercising freedom is so simple. Only you can choose freedom. Freedom lives in your heart and is exercised by your own deeds, not won with war, but lost by inaction, complacency. Freedom can mean taking action or not taking action. That would be noncompliance. Freedom is so simple and can be a beacon of hope to others. Thank you to all who open their hearts and minds that it is never too late to be awake and stay free. And her suggestion is, if you've read this far, say out loud, I am free. The words create a vibrational frequency, and then put them in your heart. I am free. What does that mean to each of us? I am free. How does that land in what's going on right now? And in general,
I love
there's a lot of. I was raised military, and my dad fought in Korea and Vietnam twice. And the mythology in the military is we are fighting for freedom. And, and I'm like, I don't think so. Um, there's a lot of facade in the power structures on this planet, not just this country. And the only way we shift to be in alignment with Mother Earth and all her relations is if we get free in here and then act from there. That's what I see. And I've seen that for years. It's not just because of what happened a week ago. So, are you free?
We see right now, like when someone else or other collectives are trying to impose their will on us, that
Hmm.
we don't like it. It makes us shrink and feel smaller and less than. So it all starts, in our head. The only one we can be responsible for is ourselves.
Hmm.
It starts there. So if we want to um, make a change or be a change, it starts in our own mind, and bringing that into feeling it in the heart, as you said.
Hmm.
Um, we have to change how we think about things. It doesn't mean we can't be angry or, want to get out there and fight and
Yeah.
protest and everything. Doesn't mean that you don't have to set some boundaries around yourself.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, but when there are times where you feel like it's more about surrendering to the process as opposed to um, being responsible. Like, how do you differentiate between when you need to surrender to something versus when you need to go in and do some work on yourself?
Yeah. For me, in the 36 years I've done shadow work, I tend to okay, how can I put this? Like the Friday of the Supreme Court and watching what happened after that, I immediately went into the energy of my anger. My warrior wants to take up the sword and go for it, and I know when that kind of response happens, it's time to sit, have the feelings, get clear on what's going on, and to listen in my own reality of what shadow is here for me and what power am I not owning. And I have been watching a lot of people on different social media applications that are creating really interesting ways to exercise freedom and collaborate with each other. And what I found that first day is this is funny. I got a deck of collie cards before I left Arkansas, and it was like, I can't handle those. I'm just going to put them in storage and bring the ones I like. It's like I could leave them at home. And what came forth for me immediately was the guides saying, "You need to meet your collie energy now. Now is the time." And I'm like, man, there's a badass that beheads people. It's like, wait a minute. And I've been doing work on that in my private groups, and I'm actually going to do a public class on it, a public sound journey on it. Um, I met a part of me that went into banishment in lifetime after lifetime because of being killed being a powerful female doing the kinds of things I do right now. And it was like every time that happened, she got banished into the underworld again and again and again. And coming back into my medicine wheel, into my sacred space, out of banishment, the energy difference for me is a feminine of all things. I was raised warrior, I'm used to the masculine archetype, but there's a feminine archetype of pure presence that is a frequency in me of free will. I mean, it's just presence. And the whole memes all over Facebook of, be love and light all you want, but don't take no shit. I mean, I'm like, that's who holds that frequency of, I know how to be present, kind, loving, and in boundaries. And it's been, I mean, I've seen radical changes in the week I've been working with it. It's a really interesting archetype. And there's Kali and Sekhmet and Sedna. I mean, there's all kinds of goddesses that that hold that kind of really powerful death, destruction, and rebirth energy. And that for me starts, that's a vibrational frequency. I mean, it's an archetype, but it's also a vibrational frequency. And it's created the awareness of better taking care of myself. As somebody who does healing, it's like, yeah, I can, take care of all you first. So for me, that's a level of freedom. What do I need to be in my highest timeline? As one of my friends and clients said the other day, what do I need to be in my highest timeline? In free will.
Yeah.
And what kind of actions do I choose from there? Because I am not one of these people that's going to go out and protest. I mean, I can't do heat. I'll melt. The wicked witch of the whatever. I'm like, I'm not going out there.
It's
So
sit in your air conditioning and make phone calls. Yeah, it's funny because like, I'm an Aries, so warrior energy comes very naturally to me. I can move into that energy to fight for what I feel is right. That's easy for me to tap into. The the thing that when I need to surrender, because that's a harder
mhm,
thing for me to get into, it's usually coming from a fear. And when there's a fear, you're living in the future or you're living in the past. You're not in the now. And
mhm,
it's like, oh, I fear what this is going to do to our country, or I fear, what this means for me. And you're already living in the future, and you're building, as you put it, all these stories in your head of it,
mhm, mhm.
and it's like, okay, if I can release that fear, if I can surrender that fear, I can get in the now,
Mhm,
and I can
mhm.
get into that what do I want to create right now, today, right in this minute for me.
Mhm,
I don't have
mhm.
to create tomorrow. I can just focus right now, and as you said, being
Right.
present. Um, Getting in the now is the hardest because I start living too far out.
I did that. Yeah, and being present for me is being in the now.
Yeah,
That's where the power is.
that's
Right
all.
now, right here, right
That's
now.
it's
That's
pure and
pure power.
simply is getting in the now.
Yeah. And some of the things that are happening have very real impacts on people I love. You know, in all this, and I can't be effective if I am worried about it. And it's been interesting because I mean, I've had lots of near deaths, and I'm very clear on why I came here in this lifetime. And being on this rambunctious little road trip I've been on for 2 months, however long I've been down here, the guides and the readers all said, you'll get clarity on what you do next. And I have come away from this experience with a solidification of the fact that my job on this planet is to broadcast highest good frequency into the field for Mother Earth, for Source. It's like, it's none of my business what those guys do with it. I just have to be the broadcast station. And I'm grateful that it's more of what I love to do. I get all 10 of my gongs back when I get home. And in that prayer of broadcast, I get to help set the frequency that anybody else can scoop from for the highest good, because that's my intention. And it's just simple. It's like I'm coming away from all this with a simplicity of presence and purpose that does give me more freedom. A lot more freedom. I mean, it's just been interesting how all this aligns together,
Yeah.
and gives me the ability to help my friends that need help, in the way they need it. Ooh, she's pouring more coffee in. I don't have the second cup here.
It was rather noisy, so I had to mute my microphone for a minute. Yeah,
It's perfect sound.
if you can name the fears, that come up, that's a great way to surrender them and release them. If you can name them, so if you've lost a job and you're afraid you won't find another job, you're afraid you won't have money coming in to keep a roof over your head.
Mhm, mhm,
If you have a child going off to college and you're afraid for them, like, oh no, they're not where I can keep an eye on them, just name the fear and release it. If you've had a relationship that didn't work out, oh no, I'm going to be alone forever. you know Start by naming the fear, to release it, to surrender it
sure.
to the universe, release it out. And then decide what you want to create for yourself.
Mhm.
If you can
Mhm.
imagine it, you can bring it.
Yeah. Well, and when I took this trip down back to Texas, um, I embraced one of my childhood inner child biggest fears, which is to be homeless. Because there was a moment in time up in Hot Springs Village where I could have chosen a house. And Thomas, I think you were the one that mentioned leaving a narcissistic relationship. The real estate company in that village that I rented from has those tendencies. And the house that I had to choose from was with the same company. And I chose to walk away to take care of myself, to leave that kind of relationship. And just have surrender for sure. Put everything in storage. Got in the truck with what I could cram in there. I had to take a lot out because I couldn't cram it in there, and came down here with minimal planning and a leap of faith that somehow it would work out. Nothing down here worked out the way I thought it would. I mean, nothing. It's
Yeah,
been
if you
very
if you let
weird.
go to the universe to bring it, and don't define how it's going to come to you, just let it
Right.
go. The universe knows what you need, and will bring it.
Right. And, some of it has been unfun. Texas is not a fun place to be right now. And the reality is, I've gotten to do shadow work on my biggest fear because I am not sleeping in the front seat of my truck. I have friends that are putting me up and loving me and offering me space to do this, and it's been powerful. And I'm going back up there, not into the house I'm waiting for yet, but to a different one that I was telling Jen Lynn, it's 5 freaking minutes away from Lake Washita. I get in my truck and drive up the road, and I am in the Crystal Lake. Just like cool. So in facing that fear, I get to learn once again that there is grace, there's freedom, and I'm really grateful that I have the makeup to go. Okay, this is the choice. I'm going for it. I have the courage to do. Courage comes with freedom
Take
too.
that take that leap of faith into the possibilities. It's like
Yeah.
that's a I see people all the time when I'm doing personal readings that struggle to find hope, when they get in situations where, the fear takes hold and they can't find the hope. If
Hmm.
you could just believe in a possibility, in one little possibility, it bridges you into that hope. You get into hope, and then faith comes, grace
Hmm.
comes and faith comes,
Hmm.
and it just
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So
builds
I
freedom.
pulled a bunch of cards. I didn't pull cards. I went looking for cards.
Oh, nice.
Well, I went looking for the freedom cards in the decks that I had, which is not the Kali deck. It was really funny. I mean, I clearly looked at that deck while I was packing, going, "I'm afraid of this deck. I do not want to deal with this." Bought it again and left it with my medicine sister in Fort Worth after we worked with it in a group. Um, in the native training that I've had, freedom is usually represented by the horse. Eh, okay, there we go. So horse
Interesting.
spirit is a representation of freedom because it is an animal that allows humans to ride it on its back and takes us out of limitations. I mean, in the old days, it's like that's how people traveled was on horses. So the freedom spirit, the freedom in action is very much aligned with horses, which is
just
interesting.
just the mane and the tail blowing in the wind, gives you that
Yeah,
inspiration to the a visual image of a free
exactly.
spirit. You know,
And the thing that I have seen, I don't ride horses a lot. I tend, if I'm visiting people with horses, I tend to go walk the land with them. I go be a horse with them because they're great teachers. And what I've noticed in being able to communicate with animals, as a shamanic practitioner, is if you go into collaboration with the horse, you get more freedom. They'll help you more if they won't fight you at all. And then this is one of Denise Lynn's deck has horse, and then in her next deck, she calls eagle the freedom animal, which is
On the
interesting.
wings of an eagle.
Wings of an eagle. And I know when I lived on the mountain in Southern California, there was a Tibetan Buddhist center that I used to meditate in every week, and I would take the back jack against the wall so I could lean on something because my eagles would come to the window and go, "Come on, there's more mountain up there. Let's go play." And they would take me on their back, just like she says. And then I'd turn into one and we'd go flying at, 10, 12,000 feet. And it was really fun. So yeah, there's very much freedom being with birds. And all of this is about choosing to break free of our limitations. That's what all three of these decks, in one way or another, says. Choosing to be authentic, choosing to take an action you might not want to take. Hey, Alan, you're here. Good to see you, dude. Australia. Um, so freedom is, I mean, it is something we need to nurture. And I okay, my inner child deck of cards, these are my new favorite. I did shuffle these, and what fell out was truth and the unicorn voice. Because what comes with responsibility for freedom is sometimes we have to tell truth that we're not used to telling, or we don't want to because we want to rock the boat. I'm sure none of you got raised that way like I did. So I'm going to read these things. I mean, the pictures are weird, but there's truth. I'm the rock star that carries my truth. And I can share that twisty, turny, complicated inner truth with pride. I love who I am, and I accept all the less than perfects of my past. It's the less than perfects that gave me my real story, and when I finally sit down to tell it, I'm going to go ahead and be the hero. And hey, who knows? It just might help someone understand their truth too. This is a really cool
And don't,
affirmative deck.
don't be afraid to be different.
Exactly. Well, and a lot of what's going on in the world right now, my perception is it's trying to get us in a everybody be the same. You're more controllable that way. And I'm like, I don't like control. Yeah, Jane, you can't live on hope alone. A quote from Harvey Milk. Oh, that is cool. There's some cool comment. Okay, I haven't been say something, Jen Lynn. I'm going to go look. There were questions and comments that are going on in here that I want to go back and look at.
Okay. I was just going to pull some cards and
Okay.
spirit for advice or anything they want to talk about with freedom, and how to. They're saying, yeah, tuning into Raphael already,
Uh-huh.
to um, allow that creative process. And if you're living in fear and in the future and not in the now, it's hard to get the creative juices going. So um, try to first get in the now so that you can think creatively about the life that you want to create.
Mhm.
I believe we are all divine. We are created in the image of likeness of God, right? So we are all gods and goddesses, and we have the ability to create just like the great creator.
Mhm.
So tapping into that, though, sometimes it's hard to get into that groove, so to speak, to create what you want, or what you desire, I should say. Want creates want. um, I try to watch my language a lot. I try to really watch how I say things. Like I don't say I want this. I say I desire this, which means of the Father.
Mhm.
So relanguaging the brain every time you have a negative thought, and get back in the now, get back in the present. Um, Little simple things for me work. Like when my head's going in 100 directions, I don't know why, but when I walk around my neighborhood, like I'll walk around a few blocks, just do a little loop around and come back to my house.
Mhm.
When I'm walking, it's like I just free all those thoughts. Like I just let them go. And I fine. I walk around, enjoying looking at my neighbors' houses and their flowers and everything. And I'm not really thinking about anything. Like I'm in the moment. I'm not
Mhm.
focused on any problems or anything. I just release everything to where I'm going in this kind of neutral zone where there's really no thoughts going on. And then I can get in that creative space and creatively come up with solutions.
Yes, I agree. I agree. There's a question on here. Foggy Ozark. Are you up in the Ozarks? You must be in Arkansas somewhere. I have purchased one Wavelite. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right. In the first rock store I went to when I moved up there a year and a half ago, and I picked it up, and I'm asking the person, like, "Is this real? And did it come from here?" And she said, "Yes, local mines." So it's beautiful. It's in storage, but yes, I have one of those. Looking forward to that. You're in Missouri. Okay, that's right. The Ozarks go up to Missouri too.
Foggy Ozark also says, all I ever wanted was for everyone to join me and help shepherd and heal. Well, maybe you need to join them.
Yeah, usually what we think we need, we get to do. Being a healer, being a shamanic practitioner, that was not on my bingo card. Being a
Yeah.
musician, that definitely was on the
You,
bingo
you
card.
sometimes have to meet people halfway, find somewhere in a middle ground, and don't expect them to come over to your table to eat every day. Um, so find a neutral ground where you're all joining in.
Yeah, I'm reading some of the things about the fear of, the lawlessness. I mean, there's a lot of legitimate fear
Yeah.
places for women. I mean, I had a oh my God, I'm an elder, I'm single, and I'm going back to Arkansas alone. Eek. Texted my gong partner down here, dude, what kind of gun do I have to buy for this? And he's just like, oh my God. Um, got past that after the first day. And I keep reading and thinking about Nelson Mandela, who was imprisoned, which for me is the biggest fear, of not having my freedom. And he maintained his freedom in his heart and his mind and came out and did great things. So, yeah, this is going to be interesting. And yeah, Foggy, it does remind me of a lime cut in half. Mine has purple in it as well as green. So, this is the wave of light we're talking about. So, for me, and I was telling you, I did a, a private group all day yesterday in sound healing and some teaching. And what I've seen is to really honor any of the feelings that are coming up and don't take action on them. Just honor them, feel them, move the energy of them, and then see what's going on after that. It's not about stuff them, and it's not about act them out. So, yeah, the ecology. Yeah, we've had some ecology, and Mother Earth is. I mean, this whole thing of what's going on with the court, it's like Mother Earth is going, guys, that's more rape and pillage on every level, and that needs to end. So,
Right? You can't control anyone else. You can only control yourself. You're only responsible for yourself. You
mhm,
can't
mhm.
change someone else by trying to force your will on them. So the best thing to do is live your life by example, and just be you, be authentic and be you. And you
Mhm.
can educate people to make their own choices, but you can't force something on someone else. My guides are talking about, communication. It's like going within, listening to our higher self, but also our guides that are there to support us when we're feeling stuck. And as Jody, as you said, the stories we tell in our own head all the time. We run loops in our head, especially at nighttime. Like you lay down in bed, it's like, oh, you just replay. And it's a protection mode. It's that fight or flight, like, oh, that survival of the fittest thing.
Mhm.
Um, feeling abandoned, feeling alone, feeling like something just isn't working out the way that you wanted it to. Breaking free of that, letting go of what no longer serves you, letting it go, just releasing it, letting it go, becoming the authority over your own life. And being, I love this queen, the Queen of Wands. She's my favorite queen in the deck because she's the only one that's facing straight on. All the other queens are in profile. She's open,
Mhm.
honest, and approachable. She's, you can directly access. So being open, being honest, being approachable. We have those times where we have that dark night of the soul of, oh no, what am I going to do? The dark night of the soul sometimes brings the biggest inspiration
Mhm.
and the biggest chance for creative opportunity. So,
Mhm.
um, looking to new things that come up from that creative opportunity, taking time to think about it and making plans. A lot of us, like, will go, like, I thrive on change. So like this is me. Like, I'm jumping into it all over it, and sometimes I need to just slow down a minute and think it down, to get on a
Mhm.
slower horse.
Mhm.
Since you
Mhm.
brought up horses earlier, um, moving forward can be slow and steady. It doesn't have to be like junk,
Mhm.
I got to
Mhm.
do it all now.
Yeah. 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 I agree. Somebody. Okay, I lost the name. I think it was Joan. Somebody said about setting safety, asking for a sphere. I work in the medicine wheel sphere, so yeah, that's the original safe space for me. And it was actually Archangel Michael that taught me that, not my Native American training. So I agree with that. It was interesting yesterday. The people that I worked with, there were three women and one man who was the husband of one of them, and he was the only one from this country. The rest were from other countries, and we talked about what's been happening here in America because they all live here and they're all staying here. And his perspective was the initial we got to leave the country, which a lot of people had the initial fear response. And he said that something about how in the shadow work perspective, what has happened has woken many of us up to look at our own work differently and to take different actions and to be different frequencies. And I'm seeing that already.
Yeah.
I'm seeing that. So it's about having the initial response, reaction, whatever that is, and I've been taught that in the therapy work I've done, psychodrama, is you have the reaction, you don't take action on it, you just witness it and then continue, make choices. Because freedom for me is having the free will to make choices.
I see a lot of people in comments on videos, and questions they'll ask for our Sunday night things and stuff. Talk about, oh, I'm going to leave, I'm going to move to Canada, or I'm going to,
Mhm.
sometimes what you fear will follow you. If you're running, if you get in run mode.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
so you have to stop and assess, like, what's worth fighting for. um I look at Ukraine, like,
Mhm.
let's get the children to safety, but
Mhm.
let's stay and fight for what we believe in our country. So, obviously, if you're in a war zone, it's a little different, right? But if you're not in a physical danger war zone, you have to decide, like, what's worth fighting for. And
Mhm.
if you believe in freedoms and you believe in what our country um, is supposed to represent with freedom and democracy, is it worth fighting for?
Mhm.
Be a part of the solution, not a part of the problem.
Well, and something that I've been seeing on TikTok a lot is, I mean, I am definitely of the old fart generation, and a lot of the youngers, the young men and women, um, a lot of what they're suggesting in the solutions to all of this is really good wisdom, because it's be in our communities, buy locally, barter, get to know the people where we live. And we're so, I mean, I know for many of us, we're so in this, I'm independent, I can do whatever I want, I don't have to have that kind of community tribal network. And these young ones are suggesting that. And going back up to the place that I'm moving, which is a small city, Hot Springs, that has a farmer's market all year long. It's like, okay. And I've got the ability to grow gardens and put greenhouses up in whichever house I'm in, which I couldn't do where I was living before. So I'm excited about shifting into a more community way of helping each other,
Yeah.
because that's a lot of the solutions that's coming out right
And
now.
if you live your authentic life, if you find your authentic self and live your own truths, you'll find other like-minded people, that will join
Mhm.
with you, that you can share things with and stuff,
Yeah,
and you support each other. It's like a two-way street. It's like
yeah,
there has to be, some give and take where you support each other. It's
yeah.
I feel so blessed all the time. Like even in personal readings, the people that come to me for readings are just lovely, lovely people. I love it.
Hmm.
And getting in with those like-minded people and talking to them about different things, it's so much fun.
Hmm. I agree. Yeah, one of the things my Hathors whispered to me before I put everything in storage and came down here, they whispered a request of something for me to do, and I talked to a couple of people up there to join me to actually start a network of the sacred sound prayers like me together, not to work together. I mean, I do collaborations all the time. That's been great. But to actually come together at times where we intentionally broadcast frequency together wherever we are, because I've talked to people in Texas and got a lot of people who have purchased bowls from me, and y'all are invited too. And to just hold the ceremonial space and broadcast into the field together. And it was like, okay, that'll be really fun. It'd be basically easy to do. Just start a group and invite people. And what was interesting about the mission, as they've given it to me, the Hathors have given it to me, is I woke up. There was one night I worked and done something, and I was exhausted and just fell asleep at 6 in the evening. Woke up at 2, wide awake. Okay, hello,
Mhm.
And I opened up my phone and opened up Facebook, and one of my Gong friends has posted a Gong documentary that just came out, which has been free over the weekend. And that's a 90-minute movie that I literally was wide awake enough to watch in its entirety. And they were saying the exact same thing. We need to do this together. We really need to do this together. The last time I asked sound healers to do this together was when I first came to Texas with the bowls. And the pushback I got was, oh no, we're all in business. We'll be competing against each other. And I'm sitting here now, 15, 16 years later, going, Mother Earth needs it.
Yeah.
It's got nothing to do with competition. So what I'm choosing is to hold full moons and new moons every month as the ceremonial day. Whatever we all want to do in our own businesses or lives, great. Spend 5 minutes praying highest good into the field
Yeah.
through music, through frequency, as
It's
a way to take action. So if any of you are interested in that, just message me and let me know. I think I'm probably going to start a Facebook group and a Telegram group so we have a place to talk about it.
yeah. It's funny because I was thinking about like people that rant, angst rants.
Mhm.
And it's like, wow, sometimes like even when I agree with something that someone is ranting on, that energy of rant, that angst is just not good for me. It's like, okay, I agree with you, but I just got to turn this off right now on the
Mhm.
news or whatever because
Mhm.
it's
Mhm.
just so um almost fear based, because it's a rant. It's a releasing this wow,
Yeah,
So I don't know. They're
I agree.
walking away from the TV a little bit or YouTube videos.
Yeah,
If somebody goes on a big rant sometimes, and I'm prone to ranting about things sometimes, but I'm like, wow, sometimes I don't listen when someone's ranting.
yeah.
I just can't. Like I got to hear it in a more peaceful way sometimes.
Well, and it feels to me like a victim frequency coming through. That's how I receive it. Darren, my first introduction to sacred sound was drumming circles, Native American circles. That's my first instrument is exactly that, African and native drums. And I'm having fun incorporating that stuff with gong playing. Something new. It's like, what happens if you take a big gong and a drum and go back and forth? It's very powerful. And the most portable sound healing equipment is our voice. It's your voice. Toning, chanting,
I mean,
singing.
I realize a lot of people like need to be heard. Like you look at our children. I mean, that's part of being a parent is sometimes a child just wants to be validated and heard. You may not agree with them, but they just want to be heard. But if you get in rant mode, or like think about a child, like a child that's like all in tears and having a total meltdown, and they try to talk to you and you can't understand a word they're saying, and you have to calm them down so you can hear them. It's like
Yeah.
I'm trying to actively listen to you. I'm trying, to hear what you have to say, but you've got to get in a calm space for me to hear it because you're unintelligible.
Hmm.
And that's kind of what the rants on TV and
Hmm.
stuff do to
Yeah.
me sometimes. It's like, oh, it's I don't hear the message.
I know for me, when people start ranting like that, if and usually I do, if I have any instrument near me, even if they're not, if they're on media, I just start playing music into the field, hoponoponoing into the field. It shifts the energy. It's really interesting. We really do have the ability to shift energy.
That's so
Um,
true. It starts within us. We can shift our energy, and that shifts the collective. Okay, so we're running out of time. Shall we do our
yeah, you gotta
little
go. You gotta go
meditation?
somewhere. You
Um,
gotta go somewhere for this. Okay,
I'm just
time
going
to
to
have a ceremony.
do our candle lighting. Archangel Raphael, Archangel Michael, Archangel Gabriel, Archangel Ariel, we surrender to your mercy, compassion, and healing. We thank you for helping us release our chains, for releasing our resistance, our constraints, and our fears. We thank you for bringing our individual independence to aid the collective. We thank you for our limitless possibilities to create every moment, every day, who we are, what we are, and all that we want to be. We thank you for the limitless possibilities. We thank you for bringing us reminders to be present now and not live too far into the future, to be present now. And we thank you for our freedom. I am free.
Okay. Take a deep breath. And as you breathe into your heart, bring in a frequency of gratitude for freedom. And breathe that up into your brain, your head. Be the frequency of freedom. And as you breathe that harmony through your body first to take care of yourself, if you have any left over to broadcast on the sound through your breath, intend it for the highest good. So take a deep breath and come on back into your room and be free.
It's interesting. Whenever you're playing, I always get messages, and I was hearing at one point this beautiful dissonance in the chords that you were playing,
Huh?
and as I'm learning guitar and I'm learning more about chords and chord structure and music and everything. Anyone into music will understand this. Um, the dissonance comes into harmony,
Mhm.
and it's just like that with people. The dissonance comes into harmony to create this beautiful music. So um, sometimes we have to acknowledge that dissonance. It may feel a little bit uncomfortable. It may feel like, oh, is it right? Is that right? And then it just comes in with the whole melody and creates a beautiful harmony. I love that.
In Tibetan bowl world and sound healing world, I create dissonance on purpose so that the harmony will eventually come. Even if the logic of music doesn't work, the harmony comes eventually.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things I really have a good time with. It's like, ooh, can I match these together? And they really, I didn't play as much dissonance as I could have because there's another
It
bowl
was
that,
like, yeah, one little moment where I was hearing dissonant chords
oh yeah,
between what you
yeah,
were playing, and it was
yeah,
beautiful. And then you hit the
yeah.
gong, and it was like, oh, it just brought it all together. It was like,
Well, and
wow.
that's what the gongs do. I mean, I'm playing head heart, which is one set of bowls, and then my medicine wheel bowls, which go really well together, and then a couple of others that are sort of maybe will go together, and then the new Moldavite and Morganite crystal bowl.
Oh, isn't that beautiful?
Yeah, this thing is really fun, and this thing is an orchestra unto herself, and I found a few bowls she likes, and they're all dissonant. I mean, this whole pack is dissonant over here, and this is a symphonic gong. You want to bring things into harmony, you strike a symphonic paiste, and then it's just sort of like, I'm taking over and bringing you all into one.
I'm bringing you all together. I'm bringing you all together, and it was just such a lovely visual I was getting. It's like,
Yeah,
wow, just like music, everything comes together. So trust the process, have faith in the process.
yeah,
Well,
and it will. It will. I
August
mean,
1st, or August, first Monday of August. Hello, we do first Mondays.
yes,
Um, let's see when that is on my calendar.
it's when I will be moving into a new
It's
house.
it's August 1st.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
I'm going to be camping in this new house. So all I want are my 10 gongs back and all my instruments. I've got a blow up bed. I don't care about anything
you may,
else.
may not have sheets unpacked or towels unpacked, but you'll have your gong set up.
Yeah, I don't give a shit about anything else. Um, the chime, Foggy, is a Koshi chime. This one is the element of fire. And the other, I think one's up in Arkansas and the other two are in Fort Worth at the moment. And they are made in France. You can get them at Gongs Unlimited. Google them. They're all over the internet. And oh my God, they are just the divine
They're
way to end.
lovely. They're
Yeah.
lovely.
Yeah.
We'll be on.
Johnny, I have a temporary new house until the one I'm waiting for is available, and I get to work in there. I'm going to set up a Zen center, for my gongs.
But August 1st, that first Monday in August, we will be on Jody Roberts' channel doing Sacred Sounds of Coffee. We haven't talked about in the after show yet what we're going to talk about, but we'll figure that out here in about 5 minutes because we usually figure it out like really quick. Once we do one of these, the next topic
The
comes to
next
us really
topic comes
quickly.
up. Yeah. Yes.
Anyway, we are open to suggestions. As anyone who has suggestions of something you'd like us to talk about, our points of view or whatever, feel free to comment on the videos and we'll take it
Yeah.
under consideration.
Yeah. Just let us know. I
Well,
like this to be a collaborative effect.
yeah, thank you all for joining us so much on this July 4th Independence Day here in the US. For those overseas, thank you for joining us in our discussion about freedom. And we hope that you have a lovely rest of the day to your 4th. And anyone going over to the Way of Positive Change in about 30 minutes, I'll see you over there.
Yay!
Bye,
Bye bye,
everyone.
everybody. I'll see you in Arkansas next time. Yay!